Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Welcome to the Table podcast. We know it has been a little bit, but I'm one of your hosts, Khalil,
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jeff.
and we are excited to dive into a new chapter of the Welcome to the Table podcast. And in this episode, basically what we want to do is just kind of give you an overview of some updates on life. I think it's been almost a year since we've done an episode, guys,
Yeah.
and share kind of what you can expect in our dialogue to come this year. And hint, it has to do with a major theme of exile in the Bible. And then we want to share some simple shifts that we're making in our mission and vision with our podcast. Nothing majorly different, but just some refocusing after some time doing this together. God has done some work in our hearts, and we've also seen kind of some of the audience that we have here, and we just want to continue sharpen. So we're excited to share that with you guys. But hosts Sean, Jeff, it's been a while. Life updates. How you guys doing?
Hanging in there.
I'm doing
Jeff.
fantastic. Yeah, doing fantastic.
Oh, I was
What were
going to
you
say,
gonna
Jeff,
say, Sean?
dude, you've had, well, I was just going to say, you've had something really wild happen since the last time we recorded.
Yeah.
And Khalil too, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. So since our hiatus, we had another baby. Koa
Yeah.
Francis James. He's 8 months
Come on.
old at the time of this recording, and just phenomenal to have a miracle of life in our home. He's doing great. That's a huge adjustment, but amazing blessing that we prayed for. It's a family miracle, and just excited for that. But what's going on with you, Khalil? Come on, share that news. What's happening in your life?
Yeah, man, it's fun to look back and kind of just see all the things God's been doing. I don't remember if I was mentioning it at the time, but uh, in our last recording, I was actually transitioning out of my longtime role as a youth pastor at the church in my community and pursuing really building out a business around spiritual coaching and guidance and direction, just what we do here on the Welcome to the Table podcast, but more directly. And so that's called Growing Godly, helping people who just feel stuck in their relationship with God or stuck in their spiritual growth, continue to overcome obstacles and grow. So if you want to check that out, quick plug because no one can stop me, growgodly.com, please do. But also in July of last year, I got married to my
Let's
girlfriend who
go.
I had been dating for 3 years. We got married the day after our 3-year anniversary of dating. And so that was really fun. And we are about 6 months into marriage as the time of this recording. We still love each other. Things are still going great. We are loving it. And so, yeah, that's a big shift in my life as well. Super exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and it's interesting because those who listen faithfully to the Welcome to the Table podcast, there are many that over the last 6 to 8 months, hey, are you guys going to record new episodes? Hey, are you guys going to record new episodes? And we've never wanted to stop necessarily, but just because of the way the last, year or so, I guess, maybe a little less, had kind of panned out and shaped, we had to push the pause button, reconfigurated some things, which is great too. My wife didn't have a baby. I didn't get married again or anything like that.
Well, that's
But
good.
so, but I know that along with you guys, the last year was just, there were some things that I jumped into that was required of me of my current assignment, my current role, which is youth and children's director over our 178 network churches in Oregon with the Assemblies of God, for those who might not know. But that caused just me to not be able to engage as well, just like the two of you, with some of the different things and requirements that were on your plate. But we're back.
I also finished grad school last
Oh
year.
yeah,
So I forgot about that, but
that's right.
it was a
Yeah.
full year. So here we are. Welcome to the table. We've always said, we want to have conversations around how we faithfully follow Jesus in this cultural moment. We have been
Right.
put on earth at this moment in time, and every generation comes with its own obstacles and challenges. And yet at the same time, some continuity between the generations on just what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus. And so that was our old mission. How do we faithfully follow Jesus in this cultural moment? And we are just continuing to refine that, especially with Jeff really coming on since the show started and being a huge part of that vision as well. So, Jeff, would you do the honor of just unpacking a little bit of some of the reshift and the readjustment in where we're going, just in our mission with the podcast for people?
Yeah, it was really fun this fall in 2024 to get together. We all like kind of reached out to one another and said, "Hey, with this podcast, like, do we want to keep going? Let's get together." And so it was amazing to get around the table and just begin to dream and think critically about what could we do? What could this be? How could this help not just our communities and our context, but the global church or the broader local church, especially in our context and just everyday followers of Jesus. And so we kind of landed on this mission to curate a community of curiosity and conviction around the goal of following Jesus, to bring ideas that challenge us, that keep us grounded in the conviction of who Jesus is and who he's called us as followers and disciples to be, but also to have curiosity to say, what if, and what would it look like for us to be curious for the things of God. So you guys can kind of expand because this was a collective vision together about what that was there. But we loved that statement. And I felt like it painted a picture of who we are and who we really want to be and the community we want to create.
For sure, definitely. I like the idea of curating. And this would be something that I would add to it, Jeff, and I'll let Khalil kind of talk a little bit more about kind of where we're going here in the next month or so. But the idea is that you would be, once again, gather friends and family, neighbors, acquaintances, people you're trying to get to know, maybe that are wrestling with some of the same things we're talking about, and gather them around the table and discuss these things. Don't just leave it here on the podcast. This idea of curating community around these conversations is a big part of our heart as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great reminder too. We always said in previous episodes, who are you bringing around your table? That's really a
Yeah.
mission of this podcast is we're not just doing faith solely or on our own. And it's not even just the three of us or you as a listener, but we want to be in conversation with you and we want to encourage you to have conversation with others because faith flourishes when we do it in community. And just on top of the mission that we mentioned, we always want you to walk away from these episodes with practical next steps where you feel equipped to grow in your relationship with God. Our commitment is that you'll always walk away with an understanding of what the topic is, a new understanding, why it is significant or important for your life, and then some ideas about how you might continue to grow or apply the truth that you're learning. So we don't just give you information and leave you there. We want to help with next steps and be on that journey together. And so this year, for I think what will be the most of the year, we're really exploring the theme of exile. And Sean, I'll just throw it back to you for the beginning because I think a lot of this came out
Yeah.
of some stuff that God was doing in you. And so would you just unpack that idea of exile a little bit and what you were thinking?
Yeah. And not trying to give too much away, but a little teaser here. The idea that if you are a follower of Jesus, if you're a disciple of his, and you are not home, home in the sense that as it should be, as it was intended to be, right? It's this idea that we see throughout scripture from the very beginning in our origin story when Adam and Eve are expelled from the garden, that we are a people that are not back fully uh, home where we once were and as God intended it. So the idea is that, and there's themes obviously throughout scripture with Israel being in exile and Israel being in foreign lands and the nation of Israel always having to worry about um, uh, not being overtaken and overrun and being enslaved again and so on and so forth. And so the fact that we are what we believe truth as beautiful and right and good, the will of God, the authority of God on earth as it is in heaven. Jesus prayed that obviously those types of things is countercultural to the world we live in. It's not normal. Gupta wrote a fantastic book last year called Strange Religion. I always tell our kids, be weird. He really hits on this theme that if you are a follower of Jesus living in the 21st century, just like followers of Jesus in the first century, you're strange. You're just strange because a lot of what we believe does not line up with cultural normatives. And so that's kind of the idea. You have what we'll probably unpack in another episode, the 2 Corinthians 5 passage, First Peter chapter 1 and 2 about language of sojourners and things like that. And so that's kind of the general idea, little teaser there.
Yeah, which, think about that for all of us as Christians. We have this feeling. I mean, you feel it every day, even if you're not aware of it. It's like, I don't quite fit. The world is going one way and I'm going a different way. The value system of the world seems to promote things that I can't back or get behind. And then how do I navigate that with my friends and my peers and culturally? And we all feel pressure that comes from either from political platforms or from
Mhm.
cultural movements. And a big part of discipleship is learning how to navigate that faithfully. And fortunately, the Bible tells us a lot about what that looks like. And exile is one of the themes where we learn how to do that. So, our very next episode, we're going to unpack exile and really set the stage for what that looks like.
Yeah.
But, Jeff, we also want to kind of unpack just a couple more of the themes kind of from a high level. Would you want to do that for us?
So, through the theme of exile, we're really focusing on a number of areas. And one of those areas is the area of the attributes of God. We're kind of entitling this theme as holiness in exile. What does God's holiness or his attributes look like in the midst of a world that seems departed from everything that is his character, his goodness? How do we live not with a sense of escapism where we're just hiding, but we're in a sense of like, although we are not yet home, there's still this promise of looking to the promised land, of looking to the temple
Yeah.
in the Old Testament, but also we in the New Testament, we look to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. And so if he's unchanging, how do we cling to those unchanging attributes? And so the holiness in exile is God's holiness, but more than just simply God, we also want to cultivate and curate holiness in our own lives in exile. And so what does it mean for us as followers of Jesus to adapt and begin spiritual disciplines that transform our walk, that help us to look more like Jesus in a world that is in desperate need of an accurate picture? We all have a picture in our minds, and what comes into our minds, A.W. Tozer says, about God is the most important thing about who we are. And so as followers of Jesus, we want to look like Jesus. And so spiritual disciplines are a part of that. And more than just spiritual disciplines, what does it look like for us to exercise spiritual gifts that God has as our inheritance on this side of heaven? Like, we haven't been abandoned. We haven't been forgotten about in exile. No, we've been equipped. We've been invited into a broader and more beautiful story of who Jesus is. And he's given us his gifts. So how do we use these gifts in the midst of a world that kind of seems like upside down, topsy-turvy? What does it look like? So we're going to look at spiritual gifts. And then furthermore, in this idea of exile, how do we as Jesus followers live out a faith incarnationally? In other words, Jesus came, the word became flesh and dwelt among us, scripture says. So what does it look like for us as followers of Jesus in 2025 and beyond, whenever you're listening to this, to say, God, you've called me to live incarnationally in my home, in my community, in my vocation for the glory of God and for the good of your kingdom. And so we're going to explore all these things. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm excited for the conversation. Some things to expect for us going forward is one episode a month. And we encourage you, listen to the episode, talk about it, pass it on, like, oh, Patreon at this moment, but share it. Say, hey, would you listen to this episode? Have a conversation in community. Because again, we're trying to curate a community of curiosity and conviction around the goal of following Jesus. So do it together. One episode's not a ton. It's not a lot of episodes to fall behind. So we'll do 2 episodes in the month of January this year, just this teaser episode. And the next episode is going to be kind of unpacking this idea of exile in more depth. So make sure to check that out. So that's kind of where we're going, Khalil. Sean, you guys got anything else to add before we put the bow on this amazing comeback story? We're so excited to be back with you guys.
I would say, what questions come up when listening to the episodes, when diving into some of the stuff with us? You can't do, justice, all of these themes and things that we're trying to just introduce maybe to some, or maybe take some a little bit deeper. You can't do it justice in 20 or 30 minutes. So what are some questions that maybe are coming up? Some things that you can write down. We just want to encourage that, the idea that of curiosity, and don't go at it alone. Again, we said at the top of the episode, but we'll probably say it at every episode. Don't go at this alone.
Jeff, it is exciting. Everything you listed, I'm like, man, this is going to be a power pack season. I think it'll be our most focused season yet. and we're going to provide a lot of free value. So be on for the ride. The best way to engage with us would be on our YouTube channel. If you look up Grow Godly on YouTube or just type in Welcome to the Table podcast, you'll find these episodes. And, if you're listening to podcasts, you feel free to watch on there as well. But if you ever want to leave a comment, you want to talk to us, you want to give us feedback, that's a great place to do it. Make sure that you're subscribing. And then, of course, ratings really help us. And we'd love to hear your feedback in the ratings. If you want to give us a rating and drop some feedback about ways that we can continue to improve our episodes, we want to learn and hear from you. This is a community, and we're excited to be on the ride with you. So just know we want every episode to give you some new understanding, spark new questions, and most importantly, create new conviction in you and in your walk with God. So to learn more about exile, make sure you're popping into our next episode. We'll see you there.